All right, hello friends, hello everyone out there. I've not been here in a long time in front of this contraption here on the wall, and lots of things going on. I've been a little under the weather, had a bad cold. Went and saw Steve and Dana and painted with a bunch of friends, old and new. So I am a little out of practice here. I haven't painted in a couple weeks at least. It's probably been a little bit longer than that. So I thought I'd sit down and paint something very simple. This is something I do for hobby classes and just an introduction to Bob Ross style. We're not going to have much in this painting, but I wanted to do something and get something going again. It's always good to just kind of paint something you know instead of trying to reinvent the wheel. So I'm even holding my palette today. I won't hold it the whole time, but I've got it here next to me. And I've got titanium white, I've got some phthalo blue. You don't need it, but I put just a touch of Prussian blue. I've got some sap green and some cad yellow. Okay, I may throw just a touch of mountain mix on here when I start to do a mountain. But other than that, let's start painting. So I am going to grab a clean 2-inch brush here. I've got liquid white on the canvas just to show you a little bit all over. Again, this is super simple. Standard Bobo painting here. Just going to have a couple of things in it and we'll just kind of move along and see what we can do with it. Hope everybody's good out there, and I'll show you here. I'm loading up a little bit of paint. Always load less than you think you need. It's always easy, as Bob said, to add more, but it's son of a gun to take it back off. So I always add a little bit less than I think I might want. And sometimes I even will have a paper towel. I've got one off here to the side. Just wipe a little bit of excess paint back off there. But I've got a little bit of paint distributed throughout the brush. And my tape's not sticking real well today, so I don't know what's going on there. So when I pull this, it probably won't be real good and clean. I'm going to take that phthalo blue and just all the way across. And just kind of work it here and there, work it here and there, leaving some little white spots and open areas in the sky. I don't know if I'll do clouds or not in this one yet, but it always looks horrible at this stage, I think, because you can see those little brush strokes and things, and I can. This is a cheap canvas, so I can always tell when I'm painting on a cheap canvas. But I want it to get, a little lighter towards the horizon, and I figure about midway is where I'll stop with the kind of the sky color. Okay, somewhere in here, just kind of draw an imaginary line in your mind. And I always like on these little scenes like this is to leave about an inch or so of white between the sky and the water, so you're not filling up the whole entire space. If you wanted to, you can always go back, grab a little more blue, go ahead and darken up your corners. I usually do this after I blended, but we'll go ahead and do it now. So I hope everybody's doing okay out there. Seems like things are getting a little bit more back to normal. We even went and painted with Steve and Dana, which is the first time I've been out of the house. And I'm getting ready to go see my buddy Nick down in Florida to finish up floral certification. So lots of things going on, lots of good things going on. So really excited about some things. So probably... as I put it out, let's just take our Prussian blue. So that way it doesn't feel left out, right? I'll throw a little bit more up here. You really like those corners nice and dark, and just maybe the top, and just set that down a little bit even in there. It doesn't matter. We're going to blend it. And then what I'm going to do, real careful here, is just touch into my sap green. If you had phthalo green, I'm out. I'm going to order some. I'm going to throw a little sap green into my phthalo blue here. Bounce it in there. And it's literally, so if I'm holding that palette straight up and down, or kind of flat, I'm not going to hold that brush just go in like that. I'm going to tilt it, probably got my arm in the way, but I'm going to tilt it and just kind of smack it down. And I'm going to do that on both sides, kind of flip it over. So, a little tip for you. Start down here in the water. You're in the watery area, and go pull on in from the sides. I wanted a little bit of green. It looks like I didn't get enough liquid white down here. Doesn't matter, because in this painting we don't need it. I already know what I'm going to put down here. But you can see how when you don't have enough liquid white, the paint doesn't pick up as easy. Now we can fill that in, watch. It's also this bad canvas. I need to do a video about canvases one day. If you're starting to get to where you're making paintings that are decent, you know, people are like, oh my goodness, that looks great. You need to move on from these cheapo canvases. They're not good. But I keep them around for practice and things that I don't want to waste a $20 canvas on. Alright, so just kind of pop in. You can see there, and there's liquid white there. It's just not cooperating today. Try to leave that little bit of white there in the middle. You don't have to. It's always a nice little addition. And you really want your water to be the darkest towards you. But you see that little bit of green added a little bit of turquoise feel to the water. And I really like that because it gives you a different kind of look. Alright, so I'm going to take my brush that I used to put my liquid white on and just kind of wipe out the liquid white. It'll still be dirty, but it'll be dry almost. And I'm going to get in here and just go to town. I'm going to blend. I'm going to start at the middle and work on my sky first, starting at the bottom where the whitish area is. Okay, and working up. Big strokes like this. And not a lot of pressure, really. You got to remember, most of this will get ate up by I'm getting ready to say the moon, the mountain that we put in here. So just kind of go across it like that. Set it down. Get rid of some of those brush strokes. Maybe you just go all the way across it. Now you got a decent looking little sky. We may throw a cloud in there. And then down here in the water, just go all the way across. You're not pushing on it too much. You're letting the brush kind of do the work. But if you need to, you can push harder and harder and harder and harder until it really blends out. Really super nice, like that. Now that actually looks pretty good. And again, keep those strokes level when you're doing water. If you get them, where you're pulling this way or straight up and down or wavy, it's going to look weird. Bob would always joke about putting a trash can next to his canvas, so in case, got his water crooked, he'd have somewhere for the water to go. Alright, now we can do something here. I'm going to try a different brush for clouds today. Let's put a little cloud up there. I want a little bit of something, I think. Alright, I'm going to take an oval brush here, or these are called half rounds, what I call them typically. Whatever you want, it's not an oval. What am I saying? It's my half round. Told you it's been a while. I'm rusty. I'm also getting over a cold, so I'm a little hoarse and still congested, so you can't understand what I'm saying. Just put some music on them. Paint along. You know how to do this, but let's just tap on a couple little clouds. I'm loading a lot of paint in these guys here. Alright, a little bit more here. And literally just kind of tapping on a shape of a cloud. And I just want a little bit of something up here in the sky. There. Maybe over here there's another one right there. I don't know. Maybe he kind of trails off over there. I think it adds a little bit of depth for us. And then we can take our brush. We can actually use the blue one. It's softer. And just stir that up just a little bit. Get right under it. Get rid of that up there. I don't like that. Remember, if you didn't like this cloud, you know what you do? Get rid of it. Most of this right here gets lost here in a minute anyway, so let's just not worry about that area. Let's just blend this one out a little bit, and I think the other brush will do better actually. Kind of set that in there. Pat it down a little bit. Go across it maybe. Just 2 hairs and some air. Set it down a little bit like that. Alright, now you've got a couple little cloudy shapes up in the sky, and that's probably better than nothing. And sometimes if I don't like an area, I'll just kind of blend it back out just like that. There we go. Just a little bit of movement in the sky is always nice. And I told you I probably would, so I probably will grab a little bit of mountain mix. Now you could use Prussian blue as your mountain base and it would be fine. It's dark enough. You could use phthalo blue. You could use phthalo green. I mean, you have greenish hue in your mountain, but I am going to stick with, excuse me, I'm going to stick with good old mountain mix. And I'm going to flatten that down just like that, okay? Cut across it. Get that little roll of paint Bob was always tickled about. And you can see why I didn't care what happened right here. I am going to put my mountain somewhere here. Right there. Okay, just some kind of little shape. Always scrape your paint as you go and use it somewhere else. No point in keep adding more paint that you've got to scrape away. We're gonna have one big peak there. And it's gonna come down there. We're gonna have another one over here, we know, probably, right? That's a funny peak. I like it. That's a fun peak right there. I like that one. You can always change your knife and just kind of use it like this to kind of shape your peaks and valleys and things. And then maybe, oh goodness, there's another one right here. I'm probably going to raise that top peak up just a tad. Start scraping that paint down a little bit. A little bit over here. And we're going to pull most of that down, as you know. I'm really liking the shape. I do want to raise, or make it a little more pronounced there. There we go. I like it just a tad bit better. Yes, there we go. Always play with your shapes. You know, sometimes you get you a picture of a mountain you like. You know, Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, you know, something. Grab something and go to town with that. All right, so we've got that. And I'm scrape. Remember, keep it a nice top outline. What happens in here right now does not matter. I can sign the painting. I'm going to get rid of it, but you knew that. So really get in there and scrape. And you do want to pull just a little bit of that down. I bet most of you watching could paint them. This is a great beginner Bob Ross painting because we're not, the clouds you could leave out. When I teach this one, I don't put clouds in it. People get so hung up on what a cloud looks like, you lose sometimes the fun of it. Let's take us a brush now, and let's smooth out our mountain, right? You guys have done that before. And I've got to be careful because I've got that tape. I'm going to pull to the right, pull to the right, pull to the right. And I'm going to try to leave that whitish area right there. There's a sneaky reason there. Pull sneaky on you. Get right under your paint there and kind of pull that mountain back. I'll just kind of leave that like that for now. Pull this one down. Shoom. Pull old Bob Ross term out. I like to say shoom a lot. I don't know why. Back here. Pull this guy this way. Yeah, we're not spending a lot of time on this step. This is one that Bob would tell you. You can change it at any point, so we're going to change it when we put our snow on. But you can start seeing peaks and valleys if you kind of do it right. And when I say do it right, there is really no right way to do these things. So, kind of up to you. I'm going to go back to the brush they used for kind of blending out the clouds and have the liquid white on it. And just kind of in between these two areas, I'm going to mist this all out right here. Mist it out real nice. So where we don't really see any spot of the mountain showing. The mountain's in the fog already. Boom. You've already got fog and mist built in. Now we'll probably eat some of that up, but not all of it. So really inspired painting with Dana and Steve. And you're like, who's Dana and Steve? That's Steve Ross and Dana Jester. Both of them are excellent artists. Of course, Steve's Bob's son. Dana, Bob's best friend. Good guys. Fun time with folks in Indiana. And if you get a chance, paint with them. Another class coming up in October that you could go to. Really good guys. And can teach you a lot. So I'm going to just start my little peak like that and work that down. the slowest part of a mountain is that starting point for me. Guess what? It doesn't matter if it's slow. Take your time and enjoy it. Don't ever get so hung up on these things. And there's just a little peaky, snowy peaky mountain, right? And while I'm at it, I'm going to go ahead and grab some other color here. And let's grab a little Prussian blue. Here, put it in my white. I usually, in class, I'll have a pile already made up for shadow. Keeps people moving a little bit quicker. And sometimes you have to adjust it as you kind of move along. Sometimes the color looks good and then you use it and it's like, that looks awful. Adjust it on the painting. You don't always have to worry about it looking perfect. You know, that's the good thing about this method. It's the good thing about art, is it doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm just trying to get a blue that I like, about right there. And you don't ever have to mix those perfectly. Cut me a little bit out. Go ahead and start putting a little bit of shadow here. My hand's a little shaky still. Just going to get rid of that. And I'll fix all that up here in a minute. There we go. Put a little bit right here. I'm going to let this peak come out a little bit. Sometimes if I'm worried about that top edge not being covered, I'll turn the knife this way and kind of pull back. Just like that. And that gets that top edge so that it doesn't look odd. The biggest thing you can do is learn to do little tricks and things that you didn't see Bob do. That's what he would want you to do. That's what I'd want you to do. If it works for you to stand on your head and paint, stand on your head and paint. Nobody's going to get on to you for it. Just close your curtains and your blinds maybe before you do it. Alright, let's get this big peak going here. And just kind of, went outside my line there a little bit. Bring that in. I'm going to let that peak kind of go into that one today. I usually will close those off, but today I want to let this one will come out right there in front. Somewhere about right there. That looks good. Man, this is work. It's fun work though. I forgot how hard it was to sit and paint sometimes when you're tired. But I guarantee you I'm going to feel good when I do it and it's done. If it turns out good, I'll say that. If it turns out bad, I'll feel bad. I have painted before and the painting turned out awful and I still felt good because I painted. So, don't get discouraged. There we go, a little bit more snow there. And this is meant to be a super simple Rossian, we'll call it a Rossian style beginnery painting. If you've never painted one before, this would be a good one. Oh, I want a little bit of snow right. Oh, I don't even know if I'll see that later, but right there. It's kind of like that, yeah. Alright, now this is where I get a little different than Bob. I start thinking about peaks and things in here. And the paint's a little thick, which is good. But we'll put our shadow in, then we'll kind of work some things back out of those shadows. Squeaky chair is working overtime right now. You need a little bit of shadow in there maybe. I don't know. I like that color. And I'm about to run out of it, so I'll never match it again. Let's go ahead and do this one. See how slow I'm going at that? You don't have to run and be crazy. You can. There's nothing wrong with that either. And over here is a new little trick that I started doing, is just turning my knife again, like I told you on that other peak, kind of like this, and running a little bit that way. And it gets it on there a little nicer, I think. I may be wrong. I've been wrong before. See if I can get that color back. Mix up a little bit more. I may be tired today because I'm holding this palette. You guys know I don't like holding this thing. There we go. A little bit more blue. A little bit more blue in there. I'm using Prussian blue for the shadow color actually. Always add your blue a little bit at a time. If you don't, you'll regret it. You'll have to start over. or you'll use a whole tube of white to kind of try to catch it back. Let's knock that one back a little bit. There we go. See that? See how we pushed it back? Always cool. That's where Bob said you can move mountains, and I just did, I guess. I'm going to put a little bit more shadow over here. I don't need much over here. We got big trees that live over here if I do a similar painting that I normally do. I'll go ahead and put a little bit in there too. Maybe just a hint of something over there, but that was starting to look decent. To me. My eyes are getting bad though, so, you know, you're having to look at it. You tell me. Give it a little more white now. Clean. I've always got a little bit of blue in my white. Clean up some of these little edges where it kind of went over. And I also like to bring out some little pieces of rocks that would catch some light so that it doesn't look so perfect. Cut down the middle. And maybe right here. And you've already got some shadow in there. It kind of looks nice for those two to mix together. I think so. You can disagree with me. I don't like this one. So maybe there's maybe just a little something right there. I don't know. So it doesn't look so. I really don't understand sometimes how to explain it the way I see it. A little bit there, maybe. And my mountains are quite thick. If you ever get to see one of my paintings, you'll understand what I mean. I like the thickness of the paint kind of sticking up. So what I want to do here is maybe we've got a little area that kind of goes up like that. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work fine for what we're doing today. Just cover up my mess there. Leave that separation between your water and your land, your mountain. There we go. And just figure out where you want it to go. To me, that's getting the most light. The sun's right over here, so it's going right there. It's going to really smack that little peak of that mountain. And then, as always, we've got to kind of think about some shadows back in here. And maybe right in here. Remember the golden rule here is if you've got a peak, you gotta have a shadow. So if you've got a highlight, you've got to have a shadow. And you can always find other areas to add shadow areas. I really didn't need one there. Kind of messed that up, but that's okay. Also, you've got a little edge of the knife. If I find a little area, maybe right here, just sneak back in there. Sneak back in some of these areas. And you can sit here and play with this, you know, unlimited amount of time and really make this super nice. I'm going to run this one. I'm going to go down into my stuff I said don't go down into because happy accident, right? I can still work with that. And any other areas you might think you might want a little shadow. I don't know. Maybe right here. Yeah, maybe that's a little peak that kind of sticks up a little bit. Creates a little bit of a shadow there. I don't know. Really does not matter. And for that mountain, we'll call that good enough. I'll set my palette down. I'm going to grab a brush. I want to grab a clean one actually, because I've got them. You can wipe the other one off that you've been using. And I really want to focus in here on kind of tapping this out with the direction of the mountain. So my mountain's kind of flowing this way. Kind of tap, tap, tap. And I don't want to bring that down too far. Okay, so go up in there, diffuse the paint, and then I'm actually going to get rid of this here. I brought it down a little too far. There we go. I want this to be really, really misty. It's two hairs and some hair. It's almost like a circle, and the brush barely hits the canvas there. But see how it makes that nice little bit of mist? Oh boy. And you can do this all day until you tap your mountain away if you wanted to. But it does add something. Let's see, here, maybe just a little bit here. All right, now when you get to your shadow area, your shadows are going to tap this way. You want to just tap a straight line across. And just kind of go like that. You can even pull them out. It doesn't matter. If you're happy with it, it doesn't matter how you do it. I can kind of show you how Bob might have done it, or how Bram does it. So there's a couple different ways there. All right, and then I'll always, at the end, carefully, I'll pull a little bit up there, carefully just kind of mist between my water and my mountain, and let that just sit there, like so. You can always tap that a little bit more. You start tapping these to where they start looking like little hills and things that you might be able to walk up. You better have some good snowshoes, I don't know. You better have some good boots to walk up this hill. There, and it really sets that mountain back in there, doesn't it? I think it does. Maybe just a little bit more right there. Let's just tap this out. What happens if I grab a little bit of that white and let it kind of come over? Like a little light spilling over. So all kinds of things you can do there. As long as you're having fun, that's all I care about. Always take time to do proper knife maintenance and wipe it off good and clean after that step, because we're going to mix up a little color here. Nothing fancy. I'm going to take some blue. Just phthalo blue's fine. If you don't want to see that. I've got some sap green here. About equal parts. Put it down. Turn it over a couple times. Pick it up with your knife. Put it down. Pick it up. Put it down. Try to keep it dark. I've got some white getting ready to get in that. It's just a dark green now. Okay. I'll go back to this brush. It's kind of dirty already. Tap into the paint again. Brush kind of tip down a little bit at an angle. Load up a good little bit of paint. At the end of your tapping, just kind of push up a little bit there. Alright, now we're going to find some little foothills. Like I said, this is a super easy. Oh, I like that green. That blue and that green. Yes. This is a springier type painting. Look at that. But notice what I'm doing. I'm not killing my mist. Over here I'm going to start high. I'm going to come down and kind of join those up to where it looks like if you've walked over those foothills, you'd either have the time of your life or be in trouble. I don't know. But I saved my mist is what I'm trying to say. Save your mist. Make up a t-shirt that says that. The mist on a mountain, or at the base of your mountain, I'll hold this canvas so it doesn't bounce around on us, is your friend. So don't lose it. And you roll a little bit up in there. There we go. I don't want a straight line across, so kind of just add some little things, but again, don't lose your mist. You'll regret it. Over here on this side for this painting does not matter as much because I've got big trees that live right here. The only part that really matters that we're going to see is over here. So I like to kind of just build this up, and you don't have to worry about getting it solid. Just about any time I do anything like this, I have almost a cove area or a cove looking area. Kind of comes out like that. And tap on down here, and we can bring this out a little further. Whatever you want, really. It's really nice color though. The blue and the green. It's phthalo blue and sap green together, and it makes a nice color. Something like that. Get a little flatter down here maybe. There we go. We're going to highlight that so it doesn't really matter. I have found out that I say that a lot. Doesn't really matter. Who cares? Over here, we'll start over here, pull down a little bit of a shadow area. Like I said, this gets covered, but this is a good area to practice. This is your practice side. Back in here, watch this. I'm going to pull straight down. even going through some of my foothill there. I don't care. I'll put it back in. I want a lot of that green in my water. Down here, pull a lot down here. I may even, for this, because this is so close to us, push that in there. Just kind of pull that down with the dirty brush I put the foothill on there with. There we go. We may do more here at the end, who knows. There we go. Pulling straight down. You got to pull straight down. If you don't pull straight down, it will look odd. If you need to, you can always go back and touch up maybe where you want a little darker edge that you might have wiped away. Okay? So don't worry yourself to death over little things. There you go. Oh man, that easel is loud today. Pull it down a little bit. There we go. Now you've got to carefully, 2 hairs and some air. It's almost just the weight of the brush, just kind of barely going across this. And back in here, you're doing the same thing, straight across, straight across. And there you go. You got something going on. I usually will do my highlights next, so let's do that. Highlight color, I might touch this cleaner brush into that green and then go into my cad yellow. And my cad yellow is a little thick. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of really, it's as thick as my white. It's an older tube. I'll dry it up a little bit. So I'm going to have to grab just a touch of either paint thinner or liquid white. And if I had a choice, I would always go for the liquid white for this, because I can get this really bright, loosen it up just like that. I'm holding that palette, or that, yeah, the palette weird. Just kind of bounce in there. Okay. But I always can grab a little dark again and just add it back in. So it loosens up the paint. Just makes it an easier job of getting it on there. I think I'm like Bob in that regard. I do like, I'm a lazy painter, so I'm just touching and letting that come right off the brush. Watch this. Bring a little bit out there. This area does not matter over here, so I'm not going to put as much. Maybe just touch a little bit in case we see it through the trees, like that. Grab a little bit there. A little bit more. You can always put your other yellows out for something like this. It doesn't matter. Always go right outside your dark area. Don't leave an edge, because that would be your trees or your grass. I don't know what this is back here. You have to make your mind up on that. Something like that. There we go. Maybe a little bit there. Maybe leaving some separation here. Always is a good idea. Don't worry if it goes out in your water a little bit even. Don't hurt anything. Find a little area you don't like, just kind of touch it back over. But I'm just touching. It's probably a little brighter than I'd wanted it right through there, but that's okay. It won't hurt anything. Look. And there's some little footy hills. Grab our knife. Try to make this a quick video, but I'm always slow. I'm actually just going to grab this white right here. It's just straight titanium white. I actually like it better for a water line. Don't know why, it's just me. Just kind of saw, but I'm sawing straight. So I've got a dip down here. I'm still going to let the knife kind of go there. Go straight in. Straight in, like that. Okay, don't let your knife go like this. We can put a little bit over here, we won't see it. So, doesn't matter. Smear it in over there. I kind of like weird water lines sometimes. You don't have to. I mean, this could be running water in here. So just put a bunch. I don't care. Look at that. That looks pretty good. You can even grab a little greenish little piece of green somewhere on your palette there and throw it in. And, you know, kind of let that work for you. Just like that. Look at that. Nothing to it, right? Nothing to it. Don't be afraid. And we'll go ahead. Throw a little bit over here too. I like water lines. I like movement in the water, I guess, more than water lines. So just put that. There we go. Super easy painting so far, guys. If you're watching for the first time, hello. How are you? But really, this is something you could do in no time, and it's a super effective little Bob Ross style painting. And the green in the water looks really good. I don't know if it looks good on the camera, but it looks more natural. All right. Now, in classes, people always worry me about this next step, so we'll just do it together here. I would normally just start painting trees here, because that's what goes here next. I'm going to take all the blue, I got phthalo blue too, and all my green, okay, and mix them up. I got yellow in my other color there, so I'll have to mix up a little more for trees too. Same mixture for trees. There we go. Let's grab our dirty 2-inch brush here, and where's this land live? Right here. I don't know. We'll leave a little. Watch this. This is my world. I'm just going to close it off. I'm smacking on some dark is all I'm doing. How much dark? I don't know. That much dark? There's no wrong here. Oh, that's a lot of dark. There. Yeah, I kind of like that. Maybe. There we go. Okay. Finished painting. Right there you go. Sell that thing for 27 cents on the black market. All right. But we do need to grab some more paint. So I'm going to grab some phthalo blue. And then I'll have enough out. Used it all. Some sap green to go with that phthalo blue. Using some old paint here. A little sap green out for highlights too. And if I had just a touch maybe of mountain mix, I won't show you that too because it looks disgusting. It is really bad shape. It's almost embarrassing. Alright, so we have mountain mix, sap green, phthalo blue. Turn those over. Oh, get a little white in there too, it won't hurt anything. Turn them over till you get a greenish, dark green color. That's a gob of paint right there. Probably don't need that much, but I don't have to go back and get any more out. A little messy today. Like I said, get out of practice here. And I have a fan brush. We'll paint trees with a fan brush today. How about that? Well, I'm kind of loading the fan brush up. Let me show you how to load that thing just in case you don't know. Pull it through on both sides. Pull it through a lot of paint. A lot of people don't put enough paint on their fan brush. You've got to have paint to paint these trees. If you wanted to, this is almost too dark. You could add a little white. You don't have to. It's kind of up to you. While I'm doing this, I'll just say sorry for being away. Got some new crazy paintings to do. I haven't felt like doing them. I got a little sketchbook I keep, and I'll never show it because it's awful. I mean, it looks like a 3-year-old sketched the things, but it reminds me of what I had in my mind when I thought of it. So it's not necessarily quality sketches, it's just sketches to remind me of what I want to paint. So I've got some cool things I've got in my head, so hopefully I can get them out, put some videos for you guys. So this will have to do until that point though. Alright, so I'm going to take that fan brush, it's loaded up, and I'm going to just make me a little line on the canvas. It's always a good idea to kind of plan your mountain out. You don't have to. You know you're going to have big trees in here. Leave you a spot to plant them. And that's a nice area that I can get in there, not have to go through a lot of white paint, and it will also fill in those gaps that you have, you know, over here. So put that line on there, load up your fan brush again, and just, I don't want to make this a skinny guy. Nope, I'm going to go big. And I'm going to paint with just the corner of that brush. Keeping a lot of paint on that brush at all times. If you do not have paint, you've got to have it. Remember, as many have said, somebody thought I made this saying up. You got to have paint to paint. No. I think I stole it from Nick Hankins. And probably heard it from other folks too. Dana, Steve, somebody. You've got to have paint to paint. It's probably the truest thing you can say here when you're trying to paint. Now, when you get into this mess, this is why I normally in class I don't put that much color there. You can do this. And take some of that off. You'll still have a little bit showing through your branches, but you won't have it right here in the middle to fight with. Look, it'll go right over, but you do need to make sure you cover it. You know, you don't want those odd lines on there. So this is going to be our big tree, and this tree will probably go off the canvas over here. So we'll just kind of see we're already through that foothill, but the foothill's still there, and it looks nice. You see a little bit of it, and you know it's back there, as Bob would say. So that's all that matters. Just smack that brush on there, make a tree, and you know, figure out, do you want the tree to live right on top of the land, or does the tree come down in here a little bit? You can decide that later even. Right now it doesn't matter. Let's put us another one next door that's almost as tall, but I want to leave a little peek through. And I typically won't draw the whole line, but I usually do want to do a video. You don't have to. You're just using that line kind of as a guideline where to start, and gives you a nice top of a tree. So kind of make up your own mind if you need to put that all the way down through there. Now this one I'm going to try to just go through. My paint is sticking pretty good. Yeah, I can get through there. That way I can leave a little bit of that yellow showing through. Be a consideration here in a minute when we do our highlights to make sure that that yellow doesn't compete with our highlight color for the trees. We want it a little bit different. Happy trees, right? Happy, happy, happy. I think maybe the thing that draws me to painting more than anything is just painting trees. I could sit here and just paint trees all day. I love trees. We have so many trees in our yard, and we keep buying more trees and more trees, more trees. I'm just bringing a little more dark paint down in here. The Japanese maples and any kind. I love maple trees. It doesn't matter if Japanese or just, you know, regular sugar maples or whatever. I want one right here. But I just love trees, I guess is what I'm trying to say. A good friend would say, trees, I'm going to kind of adapt to saying, trees are just a blessing to humanity. You know, we wouldn't be here without them. But wood is also a blessing, so trees help us in so many ways. maybe skip a little bit on that one so I don't kill all of my nice little green water back there. That looks like water that you might not want to swim in, but you might want to fish in. I don't know. There's a nuclear power plant off to the right of the canvas here. I saw some three-eyed fish. So be careful. Don't eat them. Just catch them, smack them on a tutu, and put them back in the water. What Bob would do anyway. There we go. Let's just let that one kind of come down in here, and then always throw a little more dark back in here. It's pretty dark down in here, right? It should be. It would be. So, I think I told you I was using a 16 by 20 inch canvas, but of course it's not 16 by 20 inch because of the tape. That tape is, I think, excuse me, a little less than an inch. Forget the exact measurements. Alright, almost there, guys. If you like these things, I don't know who would sit here and watch me the whole time, but, you know, if you do, make sure you hit the like, subscribe. I'll keep working to do better videos. Eventually I'll get a mic and it'll sound better. Because I know my voice trails off sometimes. And I know my accent. Some people are like, I don't know what you're saying. Sometimes I don't know what I'm saying either, so not necessarily just you. But we'll keep doing better. So I cleaned my brush just a little bit and some thinner I have here. And I'm going to go into my yellow, or as we say around these parts, yaller. You can use yellow or yaller. You get the same results really. As far as improvements, I may get a new stool. I may just keep squeaky chair. I don't know. One of those things. It's become a good friend. So I'm just getting a color I like for evergreens. I'll usually use just a little bit of liquid white here because, again, my yellow is quite thick. But really the paint thinner that I still residue in the brush really helps to keep you from having to use too much liquid white. So you can keep your color, you know, a little darker. That's the downfall of using liquid white. Now, sometimes it's a good thing, but you will sometimes get a color that's just too bright because you're adding white to that color when you want it to be a dark green. So you can always use your paint thinner. You just got to be careful of paint thinner. You don't want too much paint thinner on your painting. I've got a green here I think will look okay. If it doesn't here, I'll change it. Ooh, that's a little much. I always like to think of these highlights as kind of just living right on, kind of just on the top of whatever kind of trees these are. These cedar branches, limbs. So if you put it right on top and leave a space in there and skip a few areas every now and then, you get that nice dark. But you do have to make sure and have some that come all the way over. And sometimes I'll even go back and brighten up. You've seen me do trees. Got a highlighting video, I think the last one I did. If you want to have some come over, sometimes you can have a really bright spot right in the middle. That would just indicate that there's more light right there hitting. But more of your light, since the light is over here on our right, would be on the right. So keep that in mind too. And I'm going to stop there and skip to the other tree because that's just what I do. I want this tree, the big one, to be in front of this one a little bit. So I'm going to knock this one down. Put a little bit of highlight on there, and my color's coming off, so my paint's good and thin. I can see it. See, that's one problem you run into right there. I can see it. It's fine. To where your yellows, you might benefit from using a couple of different yellows in a painting. So you're not using just cad yellow. You get some yellow ochre back there that will stand out against the trees. But, you know, this is meant to be an easy one. I didn't want to get all the tubes of paint out. I'm really lazy. I've not been feeling well. thought I had COVID even though I'm vaccinated. Went and got a test. It was negative. Doesn't mean I didn't have it. But I felt really bad. Temperature, bad cough. Which cough has kind of subsided, which I'm happy about. But even though we're kind of seeming to knock this thing back, try to stay healthy, folks. It's summer. Get out, get some sunshine, and play in your garden area, or go to a park every now and then. It's good for you. If you like painting nature and you're watching this, get out in nature. It's even better. Nothing can compare with a real tree. No tree I paint can compare with going and looking at a real one. Don't be afraid to be weird and talk to a tree or think a tree. I've done it before. Used to always, when I was a kid, tree huggers and things, you'd hear that term, and I was like, that's crazy. I don't understand it. I probably am a tree hugger. They're so important. Alright, got some highlights on our trees. They look pretty good. Pretty good. I don't like this one. I'm going to put a little bit more right there. This one looks a little odd, but we'll live with it for now. Smush a little bit there. There we go. There we go. And the last little thing we'll do here, grab our dirty brush we used for the grass back there, go into that color. But I may grab some clean yellow and try to keep this a little more to the yellow, not get much green in it. The reason for that is so my trees stand out. I don't want my trees to kind of get lost in the grass. Yeah, that'll work. I'm sorry I'm not showing that step. It's just me loading paint on the brush. We've been doing that all day. Yeah. And again, if I really wanted to get fancy, I'd probably grab me some yellow ochre. But I'm not going to. Unless this looks awful, I'm not going to. Yeah, I don't like that. Let's grab a little yellow ochre. I got a little too much liquid white in it, I think. Got some yellow ochre here. I'm just loading paint off screen here. You can enjoy the trees there. And I think that'll be okay. This is not my favorite color I've ever created here. I'm still too yellow, but we're gonna go with it. Just not use much of it, right? That's not that bad, I guess. A little green in it. Darken with a little green. There we go. That's a little better. Maybe there is there. Something like that. Try to leave a little dark spot behind your tree. I'm bad when I'm painting to forget to leave shadow areas. You know, you'd have them. And I guess, since it's my world, it doesn't really have to. We don't have to paint for realism all the time. I think I've said that before. There, leave that kind of like that. Maybe there'd be a little peak of color right there. Let's get a little bit. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bush. This is just a super easy painting. Anybody could do this one. Promise you that. If we wanted to, and I've got a brush here to do it. Got a little dark color here. I always do this. I always run my mouth too long on these videos too. I didn't mean for this to take that long. Need some little guys up in here. some little sticks and twigs and whirly-gig things. And you can throw some grass in here if you wanted to. Or just whatever. You can sit here all day and make this a fancy painting. Not meant to be a fancy painting. It's meant to be a quick one that I've taken way too long on. But as long as you don't care, I don't care either. There we go. From there, always use plenty of paint thinner for these things. Oh, we didn't do this. This really does help your evergreen trees. Throw some little limbs off of them. I don't mean like huge limbs, just little things skirting out of the tree. Because they have these in nature. Bob used to do this a lot with a knife. Scratch through the paint, and you can do that. I'd rather just take the brush here and just throw some little things like this on here. You may see them, you may not. Throw some little stuff up in here. Who knows what you might see. One more little thing and we'll call her done. I appreciate you guys. People have checked on me when I said I wasn't feeling well. It's kind of humbling. We'll make this guy a little bigger. Yeah, I like that proportion-wise. But I appreciate all you guys for watching or just hanging out. Some of you act like I know what I'm doing, and I don't. So hope to not disappoint too much. There we go. There we go. Well, we don't need to sign this one, but we do need. Oh man, an hour. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take that one. I run my mouth too much. We do need to pull our tape. And this is where I always say a prayer or cross your fingers or something that it kind of held. But here we go. Oh, I did pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good, guys. Look at that. And it looks pretty nice. Big old mountain. A little bit of water. I like the little cloud floating up there. I added a little something to the sky. Easy painting. Try this one out. And again, an advantage to kind of taping this off. You could use wide tape and it look nice. It frames it, but it's also for classes when you're teaching painting classes. If people keep their hands fairly clean, they have somewhere to grab the painting, so they're not going to stick their thumb right in that tree. They stick their thumb right there and kind of hold that painting. So it's kind of an idea, to use for that. But all right, thanks guys. I will see you again soon. Again, it may be a few days. It may be a week because I'll be down in Florida painting florals, and may even try to do one down at the beach or something. I don't know yet, but I will be back. Again, like, share, subscribe, and everybody stay well, be well, and be kind to each other, please. And I'll see you further down the road.